Hello, welcome everyone to Hash It Out. I'm your host, Toya Zhang. Today with me is Curtis from Bloxroute. Welcome, Curtis.
Hello. Good to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So before we kick out all the conversations, would you please introduce yourself and Bloxroute to our users?
Okay, of course. So my name is Curtis Plot Mak. I'm from Bloxroute. I'm the Chief Business Officer here. And my background, I'm coming from digital marketing and management consulting. My experience including being a head of a WPP-owned digital ad agency, get hired into an early stage tech startup as a CEO and build it from zero to exit in like 20 months. And so like in 2017, I started to enter the blockchain crypto industry. And then I took on a variety of interesting roles, like being a chief strategy officer of a P2P exchange, managing partner of a blockchain investment group, core member of a DeFi project. And around a year ago, I joined Bloxroute. And as the chief business officer of Bloxroute, I lead the BD, partnerships, sales, marketing, and growth functions of the company.
Right. It sounds like you have been like been in multiple roles and journeys already. So you joined the Bloxroute at 1 year ago. When does this project start, and what's the story behind it?
Oh yeah, cool. So our three founders, like co-founders, like founded around like found Bloxroute in like 4.5 years ago. So it's back in 2018. And it's like Alex is a professor in the Department of Computer Science in Northwestern University. And back then, like Ui, our CEO and one of the co-founder, is like actually a PhD candidate under his program. Okay, so and then his research topic was exactly like the P2P, like blockchain networks efficiency and scalability. So this crown jewel of his like thesis actually turns into the core product and concept of Bloxroute. So that's how it got started. And the another co-founder of ours is Al, and he has like 30 years experience in software and system engineering. So that's the background of it. And we are a very R&D focused oriented company. And I remember before 2022, I think there were like 20 team members in the company, and maybe there are only 3 of them that are not coming from engineering background. So pretty much it's a company of engineers. So right now we have around like 50 team members, and the engineering team is still by far the largest team like within the company. And earlier this year, we completed our 74-ish million Series B
Oh,
funding round that led by SoftBank. Our other investor, including Dragonfly Capital, Flybridge, Pantera, Lightspeed, Hashkey, Coinbase Ventures, and some strategic investors like Blockdaemon,
mhm.
Rockaway X, and a few like big trading firms and staking validator firms. Okay. And our core group of users are the DeFi algo trading teams and firms of all sizes, validators, DeFi projects like DEXs and wallets. Yeah. And our probably Bloxroute is one of the very few blockchain project or companies that you will come across that do not have a token, and we don't plan to release any token because like our business model is very much a SaaS-based company. So we are a subscription-based like service to our core group of users. So that's I think pretty much a 1-minute introduction of Bloxroute.
Thank you very much. It sounds like a very tech-heavy projects. And is it fair to categorize it as kind of infrastructure projects in the blockchain space?
Kind of. I that's a great question because like whenever we need to grip ourselves like into a certain category, we always find it hard. Sometimes we call ourselves a DeFi tool, but we think that it's not super accurate. And if we put it into like DeFi infrastructures, people may mistaken us as something else. So I think maybe somewhere between an infrastructure project or some kind of tools for traders. Okay.
I understand. So categorization is just a name, it doesn't really matter. So let's come to the question that it's as such a star project which was invested by so many kind of elite funds. So, and as your role as chief business officer, who are the target audiences? And if you're doing like business development, who are the kind of listeners or audience that you're looking for?
Okay, so I think if we're talking about the target users, let's put it like a group of users and partners and somewhere in between. Okay, so our core group of users, like I said, is like DeFi algo traders or market makers. A few of actually this like bigger algo traders or like market makers are actually investors of ours as well, which I can name them. Some of the others may not be like it very much if we talk about they use Bloxroute like in the public too much, but like Jane Street, Flow Traders, Wintermute, GSR are these like big guys that like our long-term users, and as well like they have invested in us in the previous rounds. And I would say that like if you look at the big names within the industry who are like big trading firms or big market makers, I think over 70%, 75% of them are actually Bloxroute's long-term users, right? So apart from that, like apart from the users, somewhere between users and partners are like validators, DeFi projects, and the protocols. We actually work for example, we work very close with Polygon. So Polygon actually signed contract directly with us. So to provide extra performance to their protocol, like through different ways, through our network. Okay, and we also do a lot of product partnership with like infrastructure service providers, blockchain institution service providers, and blockchain / financial data service providers. Okay, so our target mostly are not exactly the mass users or retail traders, but we do have a couple products or features that are open for like the retail side of users. For example, like 3 weeks ago, we just opened up the access to our Ethereum RPC endpoint for free to all users. So that allowed like MetaMask traders, people who trade with MetaMask, to use our RPC endpoint for free. And the benefit of that, including like they don't have to worry about like collect on their personal data for privacy. And secondly, is the big point of like stop being front run. Because like if you are a retail users, you may not actually know that like most of the time when you submit a trade, let's say Uniswap or Sushi swap on Ethereum, you're getting front run like 90% of the time. So if you're using our like RPC endpoint, you just avoid getting front run and stop leaving money on the table for no reason.
Right? And this is subscription based kind of with
no, you don't really have to pay for it. It's all free. Like if you are using MetaMask and use only our RPC endpoint.
Oh, okay. That's a good news. I'm going to highlight it in the title here. Bloxroute is offering free access to the DeFi traders. Yeah. So I was doing some research about Bloxroute before our conversation. There is a term that we're not quite familiar with, which is blockchain distribution network. So how do we interpret this concept?
Oh, cool. Yeah. It's hard to explain a lot of the things that we do without talking about this like blockchain distribution network. So I think a good way to start talking about it would be looking at DeFi from the looking at like blockchain from the perspective of DeFi and as a financial network infrastructure. So compared to the traditional finance infrastructure, blockchain is decentralized, composed of a lot of peers So it's a peer-to-peer network.
Mhm.
What is different from that compared to the traditional finance like network? So unlike, let's say, an institution sending a transaction to a stock exchange in the traditional market, right? So in blockchain, when you need to get to point A to point B to complete a transaction, in a lot of times, because it's peer-to-peer, it's over the internet, most of the time it's not taking the best route. And sometimes this time it may take like 5 hops to get to your destination. The next time, maybe it takes like 13, okay? And on the way, maybe you get to certain choke points that may actually slow you down and etc. Okay. So, and this is a huge part of the problem in performance, efficiency, and scalability of blockchain. Like, despite the protocol, like how the protocol is programmed in code, the network layer of it is a huge part. Okay. So, I think a good way to imagine it is, let's say you have to drive on your own car in a massive, super chaotic city with no GPS, lots of traffic lights, and roads are mostly out of maintenance. This is how you send a transaction on blockchain as a P2P network, okay? So the BDN, the blockchain distribution network, compared to it, is a well-designed, well-connected highway, super highway that brings you to where you need to be fast and efficient, okay? So that's what it is. That's how you can imagine this. And
so it sounds like it doesn't only kind of being applicable to the blockchain sphere, it's also applicable to any Web2 services that needs fast access to the
part of it is just because, okay, if you're Web2, most likely this day you're using something like AWS or AliCloud or something. So that's already optimized enough for most of the Web2 projects. But for blockchain, we do a lot of things to optimize it further or build it for blockchain. Okay, so first, I would say it composed of 3 major parts of it. The first part I would say is the easiest, would be it's a global network of high performance infrastructure for blockchain. That's the easiest. Okay. The second part is the proprietary software Bloxroute developed that elevates like blockchain data transmission efficiency. We have 9 patents award related to the technology we use in this like BDM. And I think it's nice to jump into a little bit of the techniques or technology we use, why is faster like within our BDN compared to everywhere else. First of all, when a piece of data is a block data or transaction data enter our BDN and before it gets sent across our network, first thing it got done is through data compression. Okay, so on average, a block data when enter our BDN will be compressed by like 80 or 90%. Then it got sent across our network. So imagine you download a file on the internet from your home, from your office of like 200 megabyte compared to downloading a 2 gigabyte size file. That's the difference in speed. You would expect like always have it faster when you download a file that is like only 1/10 of the original size, right? So that's the first part. And also on the P2P network, on blockchain, if you're a node, most of the time you receive your data. And after you're done receiving that piece of data, you send it to your next peer. That's how pretty much like how blockchain works. But in our BDM, for our touch point, once you're receiving your data, you're already sending it at the same time. So it's streaming at the same time instead of like receive and send. So makes it a lot more efficient at the same time. And another interesting technique we use is what we call like transaction indexing. So a lot of transaction data is sent across like the internet P2P network actually is like unused because it's a lot of time it's redundant. It's like not actually being used into the next block or something. But within our BDN, we send only the header, meaning that like you don't need to send the whole complete set of data. Okay, so send only the header. So actually when a validator actually say, oh, now I'm sure that transaction number 36,216 I need it for the next block. Then I fetch that data to me after I confirm it. So making it more efficient. So these are the samples of like techniques. Of course, I'm over simplifying it by 1,000 times compared to the real thing, but that's the idea of like how things work. Okay, so that's the second part. And the third part of like why making this like BDN special is you have this highway, but it's of very low value if you are not getting the users on it or getting the most important transaction or block data on it. So the third point is being hyper connected. Okay, so we are connected to the most important market actors. Okay, so we have a huge network of partnered validators, blockchain service providers, blockchain projects that use our BDN to process the blockchain data and transactions. So once we have this like super important actors like using our network, and most of the important transaction things that happen needs to be happening happening on our BDN, we provide value to a lot of different actors within the ecosystems. And for this BDN, right now we have the coverage on Ethereum, BSC or BNB chain, if you will, Polygon, and last month we just extended our coverage of a BDN to Solana. So that's hopefully I explained the BDN to our listeners.
Thank you. It's really, really hard to fathom because I feel this is a field that less people are talking about. Like when people are talking about blockchain, they're probably talking about the protocol. Maximum people are talking about layer twos. They're not talking about kind of like software or scalability,
right,
network level of solutions, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, so equally less people are talking about because this is where Bloxroute is actually being used for is DeFi algo trading. This has been happening, but less people are talking about it because probably only the professionals or semi-professionals are using it. Can you explain to us like how Bloxroute is helping with the kind of DeFi level of algo trading users?
Sure. Yeah, it's first of all like it's very, very different from how a retail trader would use it. A retail user would mostly trade it on some centralized exchange, or if they decide to do something on DeFi, they would use the MetaMask or some wallets to trade on some bigger like decentralized exchanges. So apart from this, that's it. Right, and getting fun run without knowing. But now you should know. But and on the other side of the world, which is like less people know, like we call it like the DeFi algo trading scenes. So it's very different. It's if some of the audience will be like more familiar with the traditional high frequency trading, I think a lot of concept between the two are kind of similar, but at the same time very different. Okay, so right now a lot of us would start to call this DeFi algo trading and group it into something we call MEV, the maximal extractable value. So this MEV is basically any automate interaction you can do on blockchain that has positive expected value. So you observe a pattern. Through, okay, first of all, most of this DeFi algo traders would run a node. Let's say it's on Ethereum. You run in an Ethereum node, and then you would keep listening to what's happening around you. Okay, this new transactions, this mempool data. So for mempool data, just a quick word on mempool data. Mempool data means it's all different from the traditional world. So new transaction, let's say all the people from the globe sending transaction, let's say to Uniswap, okay? And then this mempool data are the pending transactions, meaning that the transactions that are waiting in line that are not yet being processed by the validators and mined to the next block or the block after the next, okay? So this waiting in line transactions, that's what we call the mempool data, in most cases public, like openly accessible to everyone. So if you are running a node and you're the algo trader, you listen to this mempool data, and under certain criteria, you program your trading strategy into the trading bot. So something match your criteria, we call it the trigger trade, and then you respond to the trigger trade with your reaction transaction. Let's say I noticed that a pattern that I can do an arbitrage. Okay, so I would send 2 transactions that target this trigger trade in order to try to make a profit out of this interaction. Okay, and then like I send my transaction on the blockchain, and then after everything is said and done, I may make some money or I may lose some money. Okay, that bot, and of course you're hoping to make more money than losing money, but in most cases, these algo traders can send like from hundreds to tens of thousands of transactions a day. It's done through the bots. And if you make more money than losing, then you're earning some trading profit at the end of the day. Okay, so that's the concept of DeFi algo trading. And there are a bunch of like strategies. Let's say it's like arbitrage, liquidation, front running, back running, sandwich. Some of them are considered good. Some of them are considered bad. Let's not talk about good or bad here, but there are like
this is something similar as traditional finance and none of that.
Yes, exactly. And for arbitrage, like there are even ways. Okay, and within this like trade strategies, there are like each of them you can explain it into like thousands of types of strategies, and even arbitrage itself, you can go into like decentralized to centralized exchange arbitrage, cost change arbitrage, and there are so many ways that people like bigger trading firms are keeping like dozens of traders just to come up with new strategies, modifying it, optimizing it every day in order to like make a profit like out of it. Okay, so that's how it works. And all like from the really small trading teams to like huge trading firms, they all use Bloxroute for 2 reasons. First of all, you can, after connecting to Bloxroute, so the way for these traders to add Bloxroute into their trading infrastructure is mostly to install a Bloxroute gateway in the trading node. So and set this gateway as their trust peer. So after that, most of the time when you are listening to the mempool data, the new transaction, you will find that maybe 95 times out of 100 times, the new transaction will come from the Bloxroute gateway first because we're faster. Okay, and after that, after you receive a trigger trade and you react to it, and then you send a transaction through our BDN from the gateway, you will get the transaction propagation a lot faster. And we're talking for both the mempool data and the transaction propagation, we're talking hundreds of milliseconds faster. And I really, really love one of the head of traders that like of a huge trading firm that I talked to a while ago that shared an insight with me. He said that like whenever there's a 15 milliseconds difference in their trading infrastructure on DeFi, it shows directly on their monthly P&L. That's how important speed is in DeFi algo trading, because speed is like 90% of what it is. And I would love to liken it as the FPS games that like a lot of us play, the first person shooters. Toya, do you play games or do you play like CSGO or Fortnite kind of shooter?
I usually watch people play games. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So I don't play that, but I think it's a good metaphor. So imagine you are playing from Singapore. Okay. You sit in Singapore at your on your phone or on your computer, then you play it, but you're playing on the Europe server. Okay. So the lag is crazy. Yeah. So whenever somebody show up on your screen, he already killed you, shoot you. Okay. And you're too slow to see them show up on your screen. Okay. So the difference is see the opportunity faster. So right now we cut the lag between like Singapore to Europe. It's like you're moving their server from like Europe to Singapore, and you are being in the same data center. So making it super fast so you can react in real time and then get much easier to win your game despite your skill level and everything and other external factors. So that's how Bloxroute is to like DeFi algo traders, I would say.
Before I have this interview with you, I was interviewing someone else who is the user of Bloxroute.
Oh, cool.
His feedback to me is, I don't know how did they do it, but it's just faster.
That's the beauty of being our users. You don't really need to know how or why.
Yes, and it reminds me that probably like when DeFi trading or decentralized exchange becomes a thing, the trading landscape has already changed, but people don't really realize it. Because traditional finance, when people are competing, like those flash boys trying to get collocations or short cables from one location to another, that's how people are competing in the old days, or probably also some of them still like in the centralized crypto exchange as well. But in the DeFi world, the competition now, as you mentioned, would be like the routing, like which node to which one is going to be much faster and how can you compete with that.
Right.
This is fascinating. I don't think many people have realized the game has changed, or the like rules has changed. This is exactly what will be, and it has already happening.
You're right.
One thing is inevitable I'm going to ask, which is because you mentioned the whole company started from 4 years ago when Ethereum was still like proof of work. So how does their like proof of like POS implementation, the whole like completely overhaul of the protocol impact Bloxroute's kind of strategy or software services? Is there any impact there?
Yeah, of course. I think it would be nice if to dial back a little bit of like how our BDN aim to function, let's say in if 1.0 or even before DeFi summer happened. So back in 2018 and 2019, our like Bloxroute's BDN is mostly like we aim to label and build it as a scalability solution to like blockchains, because we see that like we say, hey, we get everything faster, and we not just making like creating value to some users. Later I will tell you like how it actually impact like pretty much everyone in the ecosystem, right? So we see that, so it's a perfect for scalability. So first of all, that's how we see it. And then later on, when we after deploy it, the first group that buy into like the effectiveness of Bloxroute are actually the miners in if 1.0. Okay, and we had like 90% of the hash rate, 90% plus of the hash rate covered, meaning that like literally all the big miners in if1 are connected to like Bloxroute. They partnered with Bloxroute and they use our gateway in their nodes that doing their mining. Okay, because why they would do that, and I think that still applies to like if 2.0 and also validators on BSC, Polygon, and now Solana, is that for validators, for them the business is very complicated, but at the same time very simple. The way they make money is like, I have this validating like infrastructure. I build this infrastructure to run this business. Okay, and then like I would get the income through being a validator. Okay, and the difference between them using Bloxroute and not would be today I'm using my same set of infrastructure. With Bloxroute, I just get a little more done. So a little more performance, a little faster, everything is a little better. And for a validator, if you get some extra performance, if you get things like running faster, to you it's just like making extra money, as simple as that. So there's literally no good reason for a validator to not use Bloxroute. That's why we got like 90% plus of the hash rate. And of course, we do have a lot of like product innovation to let the validators or back then the miners get some extra revenue streams alongside with some extra benefits. But that's huge. But then like after the DeFi summer, we noticed that, hey, actually, since we're super connected to all those big players, validators, DEXs, and for DEXs and wallets, they would connect to Bloxroute because of the same reasons as like validators, because they got extra performance. And performance, meaning that they process transaction for their users faster. The price that shows on their DEX or something is more real time, so it's better user experience. So everything just better with Bloxroute. Okay, so then we noticed that in DeFi Summer, hey, we can actually create a lot of value for the traders, just because like for them, it's like essential to get it faster. So we start to reposition and add more features to turn this BDN into a trader-centric like tool. And of course, like I said, the validators, the projects are still like our users / our partners to this day. So I think that's how it went from the beginning to like the end of ETH1. And for ETH2, I think like there are a lot of massive change apart from being like proof of work to proof of stake, including the mechanism of it, the energy, fees, performance, every part of it. And we have done a lot to prepare for ETH2. One major change I would highlight is because of the structural change of like block builder and validator. If you heard of it, like it's something we call like MEV relay. Because like all these validators, the new role like in the ecosystem would want to get their MEV higher, so to increase their profit. And Flashbots released that MEV boost, which right now literally almost every validator are using it. And we make our version of it just like other MEV relays. So right now, most if you are running a validator node, if you are being an ETH2 validator, you most likely are using MEV boost and connect to multiple MEV relays. Okay, and right now, like Flashbots is surely the #1 player in the MEV relay space. And the latest number, they are having somewhere like 63%. And we are a solid #2, and we are sitting at around 20% as a MEV relay. But we're in close relationship with Flashbots because we have long-term work relationship with them, partnership relationship with them. And I would put it as like they are the biggest like public and free service, because they are not like a company that aim for profit, but we are more like the biggest like private and paid service in the space. Okay, and we offer something very special and different for our validator partners, that we provide 3 options for the validators to connect to an MEV relay. We call that like the max profit, the regulate, and the ethical. Okay, so if you like Toya, imagine you're running an Ethereum like validator business. Okay, you can choose to connect to Bloxroute's MEV relay, and you can say, okay, I just want to connect to everything, because it will smartly pick whatever that gives you the most profit, most or like highest revenue out of that block. Okay, you don't have to choose; you can take it all, and then let whatever comes with the highest revenue become your pick. Okay, as simple as that. But at the same time, like I said, you can go for max profit and you can go for regulate, because some of our partners are concerned with like the OFAC compliance. So our regulate MEV relay actually filter all those addresses that comes from like OFAC sanctioned wallet addresses. So it would help them a lot, especially the institutions or those who work with the institutions, to help with their compliance requirements and process, Okay. And also the ethical one would be the third one we provide that actually filter all the bad guys, you may call them, the sandwich, the fund running, the everything. So if there's transactions that like involving this, then I don't want it. I don't want to process it. That's your choice. So for us, it's more about like providing choices to our users. And we are the only ones who provide this type of choices in the MEV relay options. Okay. So and we find that it's very useful because some of our MEV, for example, some major exchange would connect their validator node to us and use only the ethical one because they want to market and advertise to their staking users that, hey, all your ETH that you're staking will not be facilitating any like front running or malicious transaction, you may call it. So like we're the nice guys. so we provide options to our partners like this.
Yeah. Is there this is interesting question. Is there any kind of regulation against this? Because after the FTX, everyone is talking about regulations or self-regulation, good behavior. But there are so many new things in the blockchain space, especially this kind of like tools.
Yes.
Is there any like discussion in
Yes, of course. And I think I would put it this way. When I talk to a lot of our potential users or partners who are like having concern like you, the why they want to work with us or making like special requests to us is because in the market, it's not about whether or not they want to do it or they want to do more. It's because in the market they don't have the options to go for the compliance. Okay. Yeah. So let's say if I am a crypto investment fund and then like I want to process my transaction, but I want to limit my counterparty risk, right? So I'm really happy with like the OFRAC regulate ones because then I don't have to worry about getting into like counterparty risk. At least it eliminate
or save some due diligence efforts.
Yes, exactly. So I think right now the market needs a lot of products and options to help these institutions to get themselves ready for regulations. Because even let's say if tomorrow some regulatory like instructions comes out and then say that, okay, you can do this type of transactions or run this kind of investments if you can comply with these things. But at the same time, the market do not provide this kind of like products or options or technologies are not there yet. So it's still hard because I think we have gone very far from, let's say, 2017 or 18. The regulators actually know a lot more about blockchain or even DeFi compared to a few years back. But most of the time, we're still borrowing what's valid and the principles of like traditional finance and try to like twist it and make it fit into the DeFi space. And it's not there yet. And I hope that like with our effort of making these things available, we help the industry. No matter it's like you can go do what you aim, no matter it's more compliance like oriented or not. At least we provide the options and we made it available. Right.
Yeah, definitely. I've been previously commenting like in the blockchain space, it's still quite experimental space. People are trying different tokenomics, different utilities with their token. It's half and half possibility they're going to fail because we're still too early in this space. But what's value being created, examples as Bloxroute, like doing kind of technology improvement or enhancement of the performance, or like your investor Block Demon is doing staking businesses. Those are very solid kind of use cases, which
right.
But built on top of that, trading profitabilities can be considered as solid business as well. Staking as DeFi, And then moving forward after this round of correction, I guess will be more kind of value creation projects in this space. Hopefully, we're going to see that. For Bloxroute, what are we expecting for 2023? I guess you are the least impacted business in this round.
Wow. Okay. I'm I'm happy that you noticed. I think we, first of all, this is affecting everyone, and I think like everybody in the industry, like I think 99 of us out of 100 have not been having a great year so far. Yeah, because it's really tough. Like we see all sort of contagion is not over yet, and we're still not knowing like what can be like how long it's going to be, the so-called winter or the down period or the bear market. We don't know. But I think first of all, I think that bear markets like create great company, and and yes, and we're happy that we're in position to say that, because like we know that we have a lot of friends like in the space just not having enough room to like keep running the projects, or like try to like don't have enough runway to get to where they want to be under this market situation, and it's very hard. But I think we are super like laser focused on like high value activities or products that we can build, and I think we're making some right steps this year. For example, like early this year, when we are like preparing for our like Series B funding, we record like how much volume of the transaction that are like being sent by Bloxroute users, and we do a recording, and we notice that like there's like $1.5 billion worth of transactions are being sent by Bloxroute users every single day on average. And of course, like the market goes down by quite a bit, so I assume that number goes down, but it's still like cover a high amount of like a big amount of like DeFi, and because of that, I think a couple years ago we noticed that like we have this value of network and connectivity, meaning that like we found the value that hey, we're connected to all these big actors, so we can create value through this network. Okay. And I think this year we found that we have this value of network in our groups of like traders. Okay, our trading firms and market makers, because all the biggest guys are using us, meaning that we can channel this volume and business value to people who we can create value with. So a good example would be we make a new product and just launch it very, very recently. We call it the Solana Trader API. So so if you are DeFi algo trader, most likely you're going to know that like doing algo trading on Solana is very, very hard for two reasons. First of all, to run a Solana trading node is super costly. It costs more than $100K US a year alone for the infrastructure, one single node. That's super insane expensive. Okay, so the hurdle is very high. And secondly, unlike the EVM compatible chains like Solana, like Polygon, like BNB chain, they speak Solana speaks a different language. Meaning that like if you have to understand or how to trade on these dexes or other books and stuff, it's more like you have to learn a new language in order to program your trading bots and everything. So overall, it's very hard to get there. And we see the opportunity. That's why we partner with like Radium, Jupiter. Right now we add like Open Book, and there are like a couple incoming projects to make this API for the trader, okay? So that the traders from other chains or from traditional financial whatever don't really have to learn a new language in order to get that. And also with this trader API, even when you don't have to run your own node, you can still get a transaction speed that is like 300 milliseconds like faster compared to running your own node. So like we help you don't really have to run your own Solana trading node, and we save your time to jumpstart you like to trade on Solana. So, and also at the end of the day, we bring value to projects like Radium and Jupiter because they see the value of us having like hundreds of like trading firms, market makers. So if we channel the volume to them, if we get these users to start trading on the DEXs, it will be of high value. So we have a lot of like partnership requests and leads that we of the similar type because we see that's a good opportunity for us to create value in the next wave. So we expect next year we're going to do a lot more. First of all, like this kind of like using our existing network of traders, market makers, and business network in order to create value to work with more projects. Secondly, we're going to expand to more chains. We haven't designed what's the next change to work on yet, but for sure, like more chains are coming. And also we noticed that like the product partnership actually make a lot of sense. Previously, we didn't do too much like product partnership, but this year we already rolled out quite a few very interesting product partnerships like with different types of partners because we are more like you said, like network layer. We make things better and easier. Let's say if institution serving like platform connect to us, and then they can offer to the institution users faster transactions, more secure transactions, and then like private transaction that without getting fund run, right? So we are providing the platform or some like groundwork or the highway for this partners that we're working with for them to like have an edge like on their own products serving retail traders or institutional investors. Okay, so I think these are the few very obvious target we want to do next year.
Thank you. I think the whole industry will grow hand in hand with Bloxroute at the same time. So I guess to choose the next chain to connect it also needs to have a very healthy ecosystem or liquidity for the users to be interested in like doing DeFi trading.
Exactly.
So hopefully the whole ecosystem is growing at the same time when the trading kind of prosperity is there or instructor is there.
Yeah. Yes, you're so right on that. So hopefully we get a good year in 2023.
Yeah, wishful. Let's hope for it because we have already suffered enough for 2022 and a lot of bad news one after another. So
right
hopefully 2023 we're going to have a better year than this. And it's glad to know that a lot of infrastructures or tools are being ready. If people are having kind of enough fund for the next run, then we're going to have a bull run moving forward. Thank you very much, Curtis. Thanks for the time and thanks for joining us.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you, Toya.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. See you later.
See you. Bye.
Bye.